It's got 250 million US users. Next is YouTube, just a little over 200 million users. Now, the cool thing about Facebook and YouTube that is very different than the rest of them is when you look at the demographics, it's spread from all ages, especially YouTube. And if you want to last through this whole process of people using social media and then switching to a different social media outlet, I'd probably stick to YouTube in the long run, because you have, if the smallest kid's 5 years old, 4 years old on YouTube, all the way to 80 and 90 looking at YouTube to understand certain things. So that's definitely something to look at. But for right now, Facebook is a place to be on. We still have the most users, got the most engagement all around the world, specifically in the United States. So just wanted to show you that chart so you're able to see. Now, Facebook is super powerful. I know a lot of you may think, well, why Facebook, since this whole thing with Cambridge Analytica screwed with us and took all of our information. Look, it was no surprise to me that they were doing this. And it's no surprise that if you've seen articles over the last few days that Zoom isn't as secure as you thought. So look, if you're out there on any website, it's not as secure. So don't be surprised that your information is out there and that your privacy doesn't exist pretty much when you're on social. That's just one of the things that is going to happen. Here are some stats for you to understand how powerful Facebook is. So 2.3 billion people logging into Facebook each month as of the last month of 2019. And you can see at the very bottom, 400 plus million Facebook users participate in groups. That number is now up because of COVID-19. So that's something that we don't even have numbers for, but I know it's going to be super important. Here are the 5 reasons you need to be looking at Facebook communities. Your organic reach is down. So when you post something that has anything to do with your personal Facebook page, the amount of people you're going to reach is very low. What happens is Facebook needs to make money. And so anytime you post anything, it gets kind of pushed down unless it's something that gets shared or a lot of love. And so what happens is the opportunity for you to do it in groups and have a specific voice for whatever it is you're doing. Like my friend Nikki Klein created a group called the Social Distancing Group. And now she's got a great voice, although it's super, some of the memes in there are super funny if you want to take a look at them. But now she's able to reach out to a different audience, and she's getting a lot of likes and a lot of influence on there. I saw David Golden's head move backwards. That was kind of awkward. That was cool, David. Thanks for doing that. You freaked me out. All right, so next, Facebook is committed to privacy. When I went to F8, and this year F8 was canceled because of the coronavirus, they really wanted to focus on privacy. And when Zuckerberg was up on stage, he said, my number one thing that I'm focusing on is your privacy. And so what that means to a lot of us is that some of the sponsored ads, some of these sponsored posts don't have as, what's up, Don? I didn't know you were in here. What happens is now that reach that we used to have as a business we're not having the same reach anymore. And so what you've seen over the last month with Facebook groups, we're allowed to sponsor inside of our own Facebook groups ads. So if we're not able to reach a certain amount of people, because let's say for instance, our community has 116,000 agents. When I post, all 116,000 agents don't see it. But if I start sponsoring certain posts, now I have a chance for all of them to see it specifically in the group. We do get quite a few thousands to see it anyway, but it gives you a better idea. More friends and family will show up. They're trying to turn it to be more like it used to be. So a lot of more of your posts get shown. It's getting there. It's not completely there yet. It's a lot less content for businesses, and groups are definitely becoming more central. Facebook just made a change to their online website. So if you go to Facebook and you check out under settings, you can see it'll give you an option to jump onto the new Facebook group. I'm sorry, to the new Facebook look. And it focuses a lot on Facebook groups. So that's where they're gravitating to. We want to test that out later. You'll see the option under the drop-down menu on your desktop only. So next, here's some examples of successful groups. A Peloton group, their business, obviously they run exercise equipment. They started with that whole bike, and they've got a few 100,000 people on there. They use it specifically for retention. And so some other companies as well, like Espresso, use it for the same thing. You see Lab Code Agents, we created the community to give back value, and it's helped our influence grow. And now we're able to bring in sponsors that pay us to push products that we use in there. Grown and Flown is also super massive. Take a look at them. You can see how they function a little differently, but it's people, couples, families that have grown children that have left home, and then they talk about the challenges, they talk about whatever it is they're talking about. But that's got a few 100,000 as well. The Miracle Equation is the book that Hal Elrod wrote. That's his second book, and the other one was A Miracle Morning. And The Miracle Morning, I think he's got like 300,000 people in there. And it was all based off of one book. And the activity in that group is massive, but it's all positive. It's all great. Great one to visit right now. Take a look at how they function so you can see that culture. And then Livermore is from a friend of mine up in the Sacramento area in Livermore. And she runs this group with a friend of hers. And they have about 10,000 people in the community, but she uses it specifically to give back to the community and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. And by the way, I'm a real estate agent. So she gets a lot of business from that page specifically. So chapter 1, there's 3 chapters to this, is passion. Here's the first thing I tell people to do. You've got to define your group, and you've got to do it on something that you absolutely love. It'll be something that to you either do this because you love it on a daily basis, or it's something that's kind of like a hobby that you do on the side because you love it. And so type 1, you have special interest groups like kayaks or cats. Type 2, community type groups, city, county areas. Type 3, business groups, like a company selling a product, for instance, the Peloton group. And type 4 is like Lab Code Agents group, people that have same beliefs and standards, giving advice and finding solutions. That's number 1. Number 2 is branding it. You need to be able to brand it from the very beginning. So when I started, you can see at the very top right, you can see that I had that little Lab Code Agents logo. That's the very first one I got from Fiverr. And when I asked, hey guys, I need this little logo and I want it to be a scientist type of thing. And that's not what I got back, but I didn't let it stop me. I went ahead and started the group anyway. And I got some detective dog. And I was like, okay, I'll go with that. And it just gave me some time to create a better logo on Fiverr, which is what you get, the second one with the dog and kind of like a beaker. That's kind of what I envisioned it. And then it progressed into that third logo at the bottom. I always had an objective from the very beginning. What's your objective? And find that, then find the colors and say, okay, well, what's my message that I want to deliver, right? What is that? What do I want to make people feel when it comes to my brand? And we actually, when I was in the room with Jacob was my ISA at the time, he and I were looking at what do the different colors mean? We sat down, we looked at them, we were in the room together for 2 hours, and we're like, oh, wait, we want to go with probably a red or an orange, or maybe even a green and a blue. We ended up gravitating to red and orange. We put it up in the group. We had 2 different logos. We had the logo that you saw before there with the dog, and then we had a beaker logo that was green and blue. And it was a tie. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna choose the Lab Code Agency one, and that's what I ended up choosing. So, but you can see here, we did think about the colors and what they mean and how it makes people feel, which is super important. Let's see do you guys have any questions? I'm just reading this. Are you creating the branding yourself? At the very beginning, we thought of an idea and I sent it out to Fiverr, and they then created the vision that I had. I didn't spend a lot of money on that first logo. I think it was $5, not very much. In comparison to the last logo we have, which I'll show you right there, that logo we spent $2,000 on just to refine it, have different gradients on it, and now we're a trademark company. So yeah, it just depends on what level you are. I don't suggest that you start off with $2,000 logo, right? Don't do what, I forgot what company did it, but they spent like $250,000 on branding on the logo, and the logo was shit. So I don't recommend that. So I recommend you just go ahead and start with something small. Now, one thing that my friend recommended, his name's Bill Sperry, he's out of Realtor.com. I was really close with Realtor.com at the time, and I said, hey man, I'm creating this thing, and he said, awesome, we'll support it. Just make sure to get all of the social media sites as well. And I was like, ooh, great idea, I didn't think about that. So we picked up the business page, we picked up Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and now we have TikTok. Even though we haven't posted anything to it, you don't want anybody to take the name. That's the important thing. And then lastly, make sure that you are picking up the domain name as well. So that's the first thing I did. Before I announced it anywhere, I picked up all of those things. Then I said, great, I'm ready now. So you don't want it to actually take off and then people start ripping you off in your idea. That's where we're at right now. But we're always improving the logo. We're always looking at a slightly different edge on it. You know, 2 years later, it might be similar, but slight changes. Number 3, build a team. Here's how we started. I created lab coat agents. And so it could be you, it could be you and a friend, you and a spouse. It was my wife's idea to create the Facebook group. I wanted to create a blog. And so thank God I listened to her. After she yelled at me, I finally said, okay, fine, damn it, I'll do the group. And so it's her fault we created Lab Coat Agents. Then the founders, after we saw that this was working, we saw that we had massive engagement. I brought in some amazing admins and moderators. And then we said, you know, this could be a business. And so as soon as we decided to make it a business, and I'll go through that later step, we then became founders, and that was myself and Nick Baldwin, who I brought in at a later time. So you just have to look at who your moderators are, who your admins are. And when we first started, there were no moderator admins. It was just admins. So because it's changed, I'm going to give you some guidelines here of what to at least have as a minimum for your moderators in groups. I say, and look, I'm telling you to start at least at this only because we all have different levels of influence with people. When it comes to Lab Coat Agents, anybody that's coming in as a moderator, I don't tell them to bring in 50 people, it's 1,000. But when you're starting a group, just start small. So I say, hey, look, bring in 50 people, post 3 times a week. And let me give you some guidelines as to what to post. And your job is also to comment and to like certain things. We often see posts by other people that don't get any engagement. And if you let those slide, the algorithm for Facebook also understands that your group is not as engaged, and so it won't show it to as many people. So it's important that you go through and you like and you comment and you tag the right people so they're able to get more engagement on those things. Here's your crew at the very beginning. 51% of the time it's going to be you bringing the value. Like when I started the Facebook group, it was just me posting, and I would have people comment, which is their responses, and then I'd have to censor about 10% of it, which is me deleting certain things, just not the right culture. I wouldn't be as liberal as I am now with Lab Coats. I delete a lot of stuff in Lab Coat Agents, but at the very beginning, I wanted it to grow, and I wanted people to feel like they could also post and not be censored. But with 116,000 agents, that's a whole different story. I'm telling you this at the very beginning. This is what you've got to do. And you can see, this is how you communicate with your crew. It's important that the moderators and the admins that you bring in, we choose to communicate with them on a separate Facebook Messenger. So we bring everybody in. We actually have 2 sets of Facebook Messengers for moderators. We have one that encompasses everybody, and then one that encompasses those people, a separate one that encompasses the ones that engage the most. And then some people say, well, what about WhatsApp? You can also do it on WhatsApp. That's how I communicate with my team here out of Los Angeles. And the last one, I would say texting. I prefer, if you're going to text, that everybody has an iPhone so you can name the actual message on the iPhone. If you have an Android, you can't name that whole texting group, which kind of sucks. But that's the way to communicate. I highly recommend that you guys communicate on a daily basis about the group, just so you know what's happening. All right, chapter 2, tribe. And what I find is that on average, this is where it averages. Sometimes it's one higher or one lower, but on average, I see that 50% of the content is going to drive this culture, and the community is going to be also the people participating and the people commenting and liking. That isn't really part of the true content. The content is those posts, and then how people react. That community reacts to those posts, whether they're helping or they're not helping, really determines how you respond. So I've been in quite a few groups where if somebody posts something, they can be ridiculed, right? And at 116,000 agents, we've seen everything in groups, people being pretty mean and people being nice. So that's up to you, that culture that you set from the very beginning. And so when somebody posts, if you're the first one to comment, even if it's a stupid question, you comment and you help. And then that sets the tone for the community. So that's something to remember that people forget. But you, as the person who creates the group and leads the group, has to really provide the right content. Number 5, find your tribe members. This is how you grow. So you find those people that are commenting a lot and posting a lot and really giving time to this group, and they don't have anything to gain from it. It's important to look at them and say, well, maybe I should bring them in as admins or moderators. And because they're posting lots of great stuff, they're giving value. And if I do create like a top 100, if I decide to either make them moderators or admins, but before I do, maybe I should pick my top 100 people that are engaging, and then eventually grow to top 500 and top 1,000. Now what happens is, if you actually have a list of this, if you have a list of your top 10, 20, 30, and then you get to your top 100, what you find is that they're the biggest supporters for you. Anything you release, they'll share. Any product that you have or that you want to sell, they'll buy, or they'll share it so that other people can buy it. And if you give enough, they become part of your top 100. And this is something that you shouldn't take lightly, because any group or community, you could even do this in real estate, we do it as a team. We have our top 100 that we take care of, that we invite to events. We send them letters, we call them. It's a different vibe that we have with our top 100 than the rest of them. So it's the same thing with your community or with your group. You can really gain a lot of things if you do this part right. Go to the next one here. Number 6 is growth. People ask me, well, how the hell do you grow something so massive and quickly? Because if you don't have the right people, it's just not going to grow. Right now is a perfect time to grow because everybody's online. I'm seeing groups grow super fast. And so organically, if you connect with the right people here, and let's say I'm looking at the group right now here, and I'm looking at the people that are influencers, I'm going to say, well, why don't we just grab Noel and Vanessa and Don and David Golden and Bjorkman and Brad, and then just start a group and say, okay, guys, here are the rules. You guys are the experts. You guys are the ones that are going to lift people up and bring the value. And like I told you before, you're going to have a set amount that you have to post on a weekly basis, right? And what's in it for them, you may ask? Well, what's in it for them is that they become influencers as well to this community. And all of a sudden, they have other opportunities because of it. Believe it or not, a lot of people are just into giving. And everybody that I mentioned right now is just happy to give you back and help people grow. So you find those people, those experts, and then they'll help you grow this fast. And here you see number 3, create an email list and engage with the people through Messenger as well. One thing that's often missed when it comes to Facebook groups is the ability to also grow an email list. And I didn't learn that until much later. I learned it from Brad Inman, how powerful an email list can be. But once I did learn it, we started growing our list. And now we're starting to have a massive influence as well on email. Email is not dead. It's actually going quite well with our email. That's how we pack most of our webinars. And it's not through the Facebook group that we pack them. We post our things on the Facebook group, we get a couple hundred, and then when we email it out, that's where we get the thousands of people jumping into webinars. So make sure that you're capturing people's email addresses, their cell phone numbers, and make sure that you're also getting as much information as possible from them before they join the group. So one thing that we do here on the side note, we have a staff of like 15 different people in Live Code Agents, and a lot of these are virtual assistants. But one of the jobs of 2 of our virtual assistants is on our database. They're in charge of segmenting our whole database that we have and telling us all of the details that they can get from online from Google, whether it's their cell phone number, what brokerage they're from, how long they've been in the business, whether they're a team, they're individual agents. What we find is that information is super valuable, and we have that. And we can use that to help them and to help ourselves too, because now they're part of our database, and we could target them with specific webinars or other things. Let's say we have a list of EXP agents or Keller Williams agents. We know that if we're having somebody from EXP, hey, send it out to the EXP group or send it out to the Keller Williams group. So it's important that you start thinking that way too, because it's more than just the group. Then what you want to do, let me see, does anybody have any questions? Shout, I keep standing up by accident. Oh, Christine, that's okay, Christine. I see you standing up and down. Put some money behind your videos and posts. So a lot of the webinars, a lot of the videos that we run off of our Facebook business page. Even though we have a group, we also have a business page that's named Lab Code Agents. And what we do is we run all of our webinars through there so that as soon as they're done, we can go there, go caption them within a second. Now they're captioned, and then we put $50, $100, $500 behind the webinar. And now it's being blasted to everybody that's already loving us, and they get to see it. And now we have a few thousand views at a time. So that's something that you need to eventually do as well, create both a Facebook group and the Facebook page. This is a quick timeline of when we started. I created the group in 2014. 2015, Commissions Inc. took a notice and said, oh, you guys are doing something pretty cool. They saw me doing a YouTube video with one of their coaches, and we were battling it out. I think it's still online. We were battling it out, and I was doing some scripts, and they loved it. And they said, hey, why don't you come and do a live event at our office in Atlanta? So that was our first event, which was super cool. It was from Commissions Inc. And then Espresso Agent reached out to us and said, we have a new product, which is Espresso Agent is Vulcan 7. We didn't know. They said, hey, we're coming up with an Espresso Agent. Can we launch it in your group? And that was the very first time that we launched a brand new product, and that went really well. We had 1,000 people sign up in a few months. And then we understood the power of what we had at that point. Then Inman jumped into our group and started then grabbing a lot of the great content on there and making it into their own blogs. And then we grew with them. Then Facebook took notice of us, and then we started working with them super closely, and then just blew up from there. But that's a little timeline here. We love this quote: marketing is about spreading ideas, and spreading ideas is the single most important output of our civilization. This goes back to really identifying your passion. And that passion will come out so strong if you focus on what it is that you love. And that's why I tell people, if it's something you really love, people are going to notice it and you're going to do it really well. And I'd suggest that you use that as your Facebook group. Number 3 is beyond this. This is where I was thinking from the very beginning. I'm saying, look, what can I do if I do create a Facebook community? Because remember, I wanted to start it as a blog, and my wife was the one who wanted to start it as a Facebook group. So I decided that the group was a great idea, right? She was right. But it never left my mind that I also wanted to do other things outside of the Facebook community. And so these are the things that you can use to monetize the group. Number 1 is affiliates. That's probably the most popular one. And the affiliates, we as lab coat agents pushed away from it. We no longer do affiliates. Affiliates is really hard to track because a lot of people that came through our community and would find a product, later on, like a year later or 8 months later, what happened was they would then join, but they've heard it with us. So it was hard to track that affiliate. So we started pushing it away, and we went more towards, you can see over here, there's sponsorships and it's ads. So now what we're doing, how we make money and keep it free for everybody, is we say, okay, look, these are the products that we use. Between the products that we use, which ones do really well for us? So we've identified those, and we go out to those companies and say, guys, we're using your product, we love it, and here's how much we charge for us to put you into our community and either keep your retention high because we're talking about it often, or just to show it to people, because sometimes they don't know what it is that they have. For instance, Ylopo, when we launched them, they went from Facebook ads to Google PPC. Now they do both. And the most important thing they do are the DARE ads, the dynamic ads for real estate. And a lot of agents didn't understand what that was. So we go along and show them, hey, this is how it works. This is how important it is for your business. And then events. Like I said, most of us have been to events. We do both online events and events in person. Those are a lot harder to execute, but we finally did do events. And that's one way that we've been able to monetize. A membership, you could do membership monthly or yearly. I know some groups you have to pay to belong to, whether it's $5 or $10. We decided to keep it free, but that's an option as well that we thought about in the past. And then products, you create your own products. Like we have LCA Marketing Center that we teamed up with Maxa to do. We haven't launched the app, but there's an LCA Marketing Center app that we're going to announce next week. Since you're here, just go on the App Store. You can take a look at it. It's pretty sweet. Since it's already out, we just haven't announced it. So the ultimate way is a buyout and getting ownership. So one thing that we didn't anticipate is as we got bigger and as your community gets bigger, if you do it right, you actually get options to possibly own other companies. And we're approached now often to say, hey, look, I'm creating this company. Do you want to be part of it? Or I have this company, but people don't know about it. If I give you a piece of it, can you help us grow? And the opposite of that is people coming up to us and saying, hey, we want to buy you. So that's what happened to us in 2016. I think that was the very first time we were approached. 2016 when Inman, when I get a call from Brad, and Brad's like, hey, and I'm like, ooh, that's cool, it's not for sale. But we ended up meeting in Beverly Hills. I flew Nick down and we sat down with him, and he's like, look, I want to buy lab coat agents. You guys never have to work again. I'll pay you guys yearly too. And I'm like, no, it's not for sale. But people do offer, and I mean, we still get offered for people and companies, massive companies, to buy lab coat agents. So that is a possibility, and it all stems from that one thing I'm telling you. Focus on your passion. You already do it so well and you love it. People will notice and it'll grow. I think that's really the main key. Now, from a group, we had to create a company when we started getting paid. And from the very first time we got paid was from Espresso Agent, a check that we got. And I didn't know what the hell to do with the check because it was made to lab coat agents and we weren't a company yet. So I realized that first we needed to become a company. So I got an attorney. It was hard to find an attorney because the attorneys that we reached out to were like, you're a Facebook group? where do we categorize you? So we went through 3 different attorneys. We finally found the right one for us that understood intellectual property and social media. Then we got a CPA. Then we started hiring employees and virtual assistants, so outside of the area, and we created organizational charts to be able to know what everybody does and what their duties are. So it's been an interesting journey, but I would suggest that you hire to start off. If you've got an awesome brand, you want to do it right, get an attorney and a CPA, and then do an org chart, and then find out where you want to plug in those employees. Number 9, outside of Facebook, so we have a website, we have a podcast, we have LC Marketing Center, and we have our swag. We're going to release something in the next 2 months also that's outside of Facebook and in Facebook, so that should be exciting. That's really the next iteration of where we're heading into. But there's so many opportunities if you execute right on a Facebook community. I often coach different people on Facebook communities. The last one I talked to was just last week. She was trying to buy a mom's community group, and so I gave her kind of like the angle of what to do, because some people don't understand the value of communities, even though they have thousands of people and they're highly engaged. She didn't know what she should offer. So I told her, look, this is what you offer based on that activity that you're seeing. And so now she's going to take it over and she's going to run it. And she's already gotten quite a few deals from it. So she thought, well, why don't I buy it? So that's an opportunity too, to come in and buy a community. If you are looking to buy a community, like a Facebook community, and you're wondering, well, how much do I offer? The number one thing I'd ask is the owners of it, in this case, would be, well, show me the engagement on the back end. And I've seen some that's super, I mean, they've got like 60,000 people in a community and the engagement is like for low. And I'm like, no, that's not a community you'd want to buy. So that's really important right there. If you have any questions on that or you want to reach out to me, always just message me or text me. And then number 10, you've got to have an infinite mindset from the very beginning. People didn't understand what I was doing with lab code agents on Facebook when I started it. People were like, why the hell are you doing this on Facebook? It doesn't even make sense. Why are you wasting your time? And for me, it was always a vision that I had to really create something that can help the agents grow. And it never changed. I just kept on pushing it and identifying the right people that could help me do that. So you could see the same thing. It starts with your passion. What is it that you absolutely love, that no matter what happens, good times, bad times, you're going to just keep pushing forward. People are going to talk crap about you. You're just going to keep moving forward because you love this stuff. And so I think that's where the infinite mindset comes in. You're looking at this not as a short-term thing, but as a really long-term process where you want to leave a legacy outside of yourself. Like if I passed away now, I would hope that the thing that I've created here is then taken over by somebody who has that same vision and same passion, whether it's one person or a group of people. I wouldn't envision lab code agents to die, but that's the type of vision you need to have from the very beginning. So that's what I wanted to just end with this, that we will leave our organizations in better shape than we found them, and that we will build organizations that inspire other people to want to continue to build them without us. That's really the key, right? I mean, that's really why we're all here too. I know that you're all here because you believe the same thing with EXP. So guys, that's it on my end. Any questions or anybody want to add anything? Noelle?
I mean, for me, this is amazing to hear this because I've been in lab code agents since 2014. And so for me, it's so fun to see you sharing this because I have witnessed you actually doing it this whole time. And it's so inspirational. And if any of you are looking at doing Facebook groups for anything, Tristan is a master at this and he's the one that you should watch. Like, this was just such an awesome presentation. Thanks so much for sharing, Tristan.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Awesome. So you talked about branding toward the beginning, and I'm curious, did you hire a person to help you with branding? Did you do that on your own? And I'm asking this from the lens of kind of cash is queen and trying to determine which things to spend money on and which things to try to, I guess, DIY, if you will. What are your thoughts around branding and how to go about doing that?
Look, at the very beginning, I locked myself in a room with Jacob. He still works with me. And I also made him, I gave him ownership of Lab Coat Agents at the very beginning because he helped me so much. But I locked myself in a room for 2.5 hours. And I said, I had already outlined what I wanted to create there. And that was just the vision of the right name with the right slogan. And so with that, I then took it to Fiverr. You could do either Fiverr, which is $5 at minimum, or 99 designs, or either or. You're not going to spend a lot of money. I would prefer you do it with Fiverr to start off, with you saying, look, I probably want these colors. I want it to look like this. And then you will, as people start working on it, you'll get a better idea of what you want it to look like. I mean, look at the very first one I created. They screwed that up one completely, right? I didn't want a detective dog with a spyglass. I wanted a damn Labrador with a beaker. But you know, I'd say don't let that hold you back. Just make sure that you have the right vision written down, so that you know what it is that you're looking for. And then once you start growing from this and you start seeing that it's actually producing some type of money, or you have a little bit of extra money to put into it, that's when I would put a little bit more into it. That's what we did.
Thank you.
Answer your question? All right. Thanks, Adrian. Cool. Somebody else? Nope. Can I jump off of the stage? Can you guys catch me? No. All right.
Let's do your job surfing. Go to the EXP.
I know, that'd be so much fun.
I tried to drink the coffee under the podium.
Of course you did. Of course you did. All right, guys. Any other questions? I see a hand raised at the back, but or I don't know if that's.
Hey, Tristan, I got a question for you.
Two.
Okay. So, if you were to start a Facebook group right now, would you go super niche?
Yes.
Would you go wide and broad?
No, super niche.
Cool.
So the power is in. Sorry, there's like. Can you guys hear the feedback, or who is it? Is it me or somebody else? There it is. The power is in the ability to show your audience that you're an expert in one thing. So when I created Lab Coat Agents, it was just off of one thing. And that was me being an expert in the nation for online lead conversion, because I was speaking around the nation with Realtor.com on stages. So I said, wow, you know, everybody has the same question and nobody knows what tools to use and what scripts to use. I'm just going to take this online. So whatever you're great at, I would go all in on that. I always think also of Gary Vee. Back when he started on with wine, and then look where he is now. The perception is he's an expert on everything you ask him a question on, right? Like Gary Vee, what shirt should I wear? Oh, you should definitely wear blue because of how the hell am I casino, right? But that's the perception, and he started with something that was super niche.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question, dude. All right, we got a question in the back from Rosie. What's up, Rosie?
Hey, Tristan. I have a question. Like, I have a couple groups, but like, I was looking, and is it better to have groups off of like your personal business page and STEM groups off of that, or is it better to just have groups that are just independently built and that you manage?
Are you talking specifically about Facebook or?
Yeah, Facebook.
Okay, yeah, I would definitely do a group in Facebook. And if you're going to go all in, on the group, on that specific group, after you branded it with a name, I would also create a page. Because on the page, like I told you before, if you do any interviews, like you guys are doing interviews with some amazing people, I'd run it off of the page and then play it into the group. Because on the page, you can put $10, $15, $20 behind it, and then it could spread that message. Where if you do it in the group, you're not going to be able to promote that because it's just not able to. That's not how Facebook works. So I would go all in with one. And then as you start growing that, you can then split it up. Kind of like what we did with LCA Viral video that Brad's in and Noel's in and a few other people we have. That one now became a separate thing that we're in the process of growing and getting more engagement. We're not there yet, but we started. So we barely started a month ago.
We have about 7,000 in there.
Yeah, good point.
It's such a good group, by the way. Everything that you're doing is amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. But that also goes to show you it's not me. It's the quality of people that I've been able to partner with because of everything that I'm doing. Like I could never do video like Brad or Noel because that's just not my focus, right? My focus are on other things. So just bring in the people that can help you, that make you more of an expert on everything. So that's why I've been able to do that with Lab Coats.
You could and you should do video, Tristan.
Okay.
That's a great point, Tristan. They'll stick to what you're great at.
Yeah, I think, but that goes back to what your passion is. Like, if Brad's going to do something, Brad, I probably would do either a Facebook group. Actually, I'd probably use LCA Viral more to grow your influence on YouTube. Because, like I said before, the two I'd focus on long term. Number one is YouTube long term, because you've got small kids on that, and you know when they grow up, they're always going to go to YouTube to go back to it to ask any questions they have. It's Professor YouTube, right? So I definitely would use the group to grow your YouTube audience from that.
Awesome.
Anybody else? For once? Twice? All right, awesome. Thanks, guys. That was fun.
Thank you so much for coming in, Tristan. We feel very honored to have you here.
I'm happy to be here. Just keep it going.
Oh, Brad gave you a jump.
Whoa, right. I'm trying to give him a wave. Wow. All right, guys. Thank you
All
so much.
right. Yep. Thanks, everybody. So we are about to head into our private team suite. If any of you guys want to stick around and chat, you just go up to your go-to, click on the link with the lockbox on it, and I will type down in the screen what you need to type into that box. It's Powerhouse 2020 with a capital P. We'll see you all there.
See you there.
Hi, girls. Look at Rosie. Your office is beautiful.
I think it's working.
Oh, look at David's got a nice boat picture.
Hey, Zach.
You guys want to check out my office? I shut the door. Blah.